Hello and welcome to Marketing Speak. I'm your host, Stephan Spencer, and today it's my distinct pleasure to have Ross Dunn with us. Ross is the CEO of Stepforth Web Marketing and co-founder of First Dentist Marketing. He's been practicing SEO for over 24 years, helping businesses succeed in search. His podcast, SEO 101, on WMR.FM has been downloaded over 3 million times and has been favorited by HubSpot and Google's John Mueller. Ross, it's so great to have you on the show.
Thanks, man. It's a real pleasure. It's always great to even just catch up with you over a call. So this is an extra bonus.
Yeah. Speaking of catching up over calls, we used to, you used to get coaching from me. I don't know if you're open to us talking about that at all.
Sure.
Yeah. Okay. Awesome.
Yeah.
We'll talk about it a little bit later in the episode. I'd love to start by if you could share with our listener the origin story of how you got into SEO and how you started doing the SEO 101 podcast, which you've been doing for forever, for many years.
Now.
I don't know.
It's been a while.
12 years. You are an OG. So let's start with the origin story. How did you get into all this?
Well, in 1997, I was a whale watching skipper. That's right, professional whale watcher, and I was working for Prince of Wales Whale Watching in Victoria. And I had quite a few responsibilities. One of them was to build a website. I kind of put myself out there and said, "Hey, this is something I love to do. You don't have one. We need one." And so I built my first one. Jumping ahead, they ended up becoming my longest client, 21 years. So that was pretty cool.
Wow. That's impressive. That's impressive.
Yeah, they've gone to the stratosphere, the largest in Canada. And it's pretty cool to see how big they've gotten. And it's neat to be a part of that. Anyway, I enjoyed creating the website.
You were not just a part of it. You were one of the reasons, I think.
I'd like to say that. I'm sure Alan would perhaps give me some of that credit, the owner. But anyways, it's a real pleasure to build it. And one of the things that was really tricky is I had to learn how to get it to rank. And at the time, I didn't have a clue about that stuff. I was really just playing around. Was I 19? I don't know. It's one of the youngest skippers on the coast, I think. And wow. I thought, well, this would be kind of fun. And I just discovered that it was something I did well. Got the top rankings. And of course, back then, you remember how simple it was. It was a bit of a joke compared to now. But primarily graphic designers did all the website work, and much to, well, my much things have changed, put it this way. And I knew that wasn't an area I wanted to get into. I wasn't a graphic designer. I just had fun designing. And this is the area that I was best at. Soon after, I got a #1 ranking for a casino for poker. And wow, things just exploded at that point. As soon as you do that in that space, the word gets around very quickly. And you start getting people asking you to work for them. And then I got a job as doing a competitor analysis with Time Inc. in New York, where they brought me in to teach Sports Illustrated and some of their other magazines and Fortune magazine in-house how to do SEO. That was actually where I cut my teeth in my first presentation. My God, in front of the board of Time Inc. was my first presentation. I tell you, that was a nerve-wracker.
Wow.
So, and then since then, I've really enjoyed working with small and medium business. The corporate environment, it's a little tougher to make a change in their base of their business. I really find that the small and medium business area, I can fundamentally change the success of their business, which is exciting, way more impactful, and it gets me up in the morning.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. And we'll be a sampling of some of your client names and success stories. I'm sure you're under NDA for most of them, but can you share any examples?
Yeah, I got to admit, I've got to get better at doing this. I think of, I worked with Singularity University, doing some of their work. A lot of that stuff is big, and you tend to really just reinforce their exposure because they have lots of content. So that was very interesting, and getting them more of that exposure was quite successful. A lot of the other ones are smaller business names that I don't think anyone would know, but I get the pleasure of knowing. And
Mm-hmm.
they're big in their towns and they're big in their cities. And yeah, that's just
Yeah, and you make a real difference for them, because if it's a small business that's maybe $1 million and you help get them to 2 or 3 million, that changes their lives.
It does. And, there are some big brands we've worked with. We worked with Pfizer, Johnson & Johnson, that kind of stuff. We don't do that so much anymore. Again, because I love that small, medium business level. And and we've worked with some big names there, but the biggest ones I can't talk about. I wish I could.
Yeah.
Darn it. Why don't they let us, right?
Yeah.
So much
Well,
fun.
it is. I can understand their position because it is a competitive advantage. It's not like a web design firm putting their stamp on the footer of their client's homepage. It's kind of secret sauce sort of stuff. But yeah,
I guess that's flattering.
I think it makes sense to. I think it's good for everybody if each party is looking out for the other. So anyway, so let's talk a little bit about how you ended up doing First.Dentist and how you got this 12-year podcast hosting gig.
Right. Well, my first employee, Jim Hedger, he started with me back in 2001, I think, or 2000. He had since moved on and was working with Webmaster Radio, and they had an opening. They wanted to restart SEO 101 back in 2008, 2009. And he recommended me, and I was really proud to say yes. I was nervous as hell. I at that point in my life didn't do presentations. I mean, I was a nervous wreck, but I credit him with the fact that jumping into that was a huge change for me. I got to really get comfortable speaking and just realizing I could be myself and people would listen and not have to, get too intense and worried. And anyway, that was great. And just because of that,
I don't have to tell you, you have such a personable, disarming style about you. I could just see how your listeners and people who attend your presentations at conferences would just be happy to work with you, would be happy to continue listening to you and learn from you. Yeah, you're just disarming. It doesn't even begin to describe your approachableness and style, and you're just a really genuine guy, and that's something I appreciate about you, and what I'm sure many people in the industry and many of your clientele and people that you've touched, you don't even know that you've touched their lives because they've just been an anonymous listener for many years, and you make a difference in the world.
Appreciate that. Yeah, I'm learning more and more that I have a style that likes to be viewed. I'm not a person who likes to be in the limelight, like I said. And in fact, today I'm getting a photo shoot based on the recommendations of a friend of mine, and to get more of me and my marketing. And it's like, oh no, it's been a push, but I saw this whole package, this messaging I'm going to get out, and I thought, you know what, that is what I would like to see. I want people to know that I'm approachable. I don't like to put on airs at all. In fact, I get kind of repulsed by that when other people do. So I try to put that out and just, we're having fun, and let's make money and help your business and just have fun. It doesn't need to be too serious. And I think that's part of what the podcast puts out there too. We really have a good time. The person I was doing it with, unfortunately, just passed, but we had a fantastic time just being buddies because we were best of friends. And
so that's John Carcutt, and he had been your co-host since the beginning, right? Since 12 years ago?
Close to it. Yeah, I'd had a couple at the beginning I burned through. Well, some of them just didn't have the time, and the other ones we just, it wasn't a perfect click. So when it came up and I said, John, we got to do this together. He's like, I would be honored. And we did it and just had a blast. We've done, there's 412 or 420 episodes now. And I think at least 480 of those are just, 380 of those were just us. And it was our every week. We just had a great time catching up because we were, like, again, best of friends. So how cool is that? We were getting the word out, helping people while we caught up. It was just the best times.
Yeah. And he just recently passed. My condolences again.
Thanks. Yeah, still don't believe it. It was really hard at the beginning, and then it's now become, I feel like there's something that ball's going to drop at some point. Right now, I'm numb. Yeah. But,
yeah.
Yeah.
Anyway. What are the stages of grief? There's 7 of them, I think, and being numb, or whatever the exact term is from the steps, is normal. Yeah.
Anyway, yeah, it was a big impact on me. It's been tough to get back in the saddle and feel like work means anything, right? And doing the podcast has definitely been difficult. I haven't done it for the last few weeks, and gonna try to get in the saddle again this week and honor him a bit. And I know a lot of our listeners have chimed in and said, "Oh my God, I can't believe it! To listen to you for so long, you felt like family." And that's exactly what we hoped people would feel like. But it's another thing to hear that. It was pretty cool to see and hear. And now I'm doing it with my colleague, actually one of my other best friends, who happens to be an employee and my senior SEO, and he and I have a blast too. Or I just have friends on, just trying to make it, shake it up a bit and see what happens. And I'm sure John would be very proud of that. I'm definitely going to keep going once I get my feet under me and it feels right. I needed a bit of time.
Yeah. He is proud of you.
I think so. Yeah. Thanks. As for First Dentist, we actually took the dot out. We bought firstdentist.com and just started to wonder, First.dentist. That's getting tiring to say that all the time. So firstdentist.com, we're pretty proud of it. And it's my opportunity to niche in SEO and business. With Stepforth Web Marketing, we're focused on just helping any small and medium business that fits with our goals and expectations and their goals and expectations and stuff. But it's worldwide, English speaking. And First Dentist is focused only in North America, and it's on just dental clients, orthodontists, periodontists, general dentistry, you name it. And it's cool and a bit, it's wildly different way to run a business, but also very comforting in some ways, because you get to process everything down to the last second of every kind of job, which is really textbook in many ways for running a turnkey business. And it's been a learning curve, definitely a learning curve, but it's great. I've got another team that's there and a good partner, and it's taken off.
So you're not running day-to-day operations at First Dentist?
No, I think I would lose my mind already. Running day-to-day with Stepforth is enough. What I do is I manage the operations of the actual marketing to make sure the team that I put together is doing a great job with the SEO, doing a great job with the paid ads, and the sites are being updated and all that stuff. And meanwhile, I'll check in with clients when necessary, but I can keep the rest of my time focused with Stepforth.
Mm-hmm. And are you using, I don't know, just different kinds of processes and systems, structures that help to scale SEO across a large client base with First Dentist?
Yeah. Well, processes are everything for us. We have them all slated into teamwork. And, when we have this new project, we just literally move that. We we itemize, or so we select that template when we're creating the task list, and boom, all the tasks are set up for each of the staff members, and we press start. It's like a machine, and it's, sometimes we have to edit it, obviously, to keep things up to date, but to have that capability and have a team that really is comfortable with just working task to task to task and doing an excellent job, it's great. Again, I can't really do that with Stepforth. I mean, yeah, we do have processes, but we also tend to be a little more custom, breaking a few rules there, because even that should be more automated. But I get more of a kick out of learning new things and trying new angles and taking different tacks with different kinds of businesses with Stepforth. So it's a little harder to put templates in place.
Mm-hmm. What would be some of the things that you've been playing with recently that are new or up and coming, or otherwise kind of not part of the normal set of things that people know about? Like, beyond the typical WordPress plugins and things like that, some ninja stuff that you've figured out, perhaps.
I've been working so much on in the business on some of this growth that plugins may have been a bit behind on me, but I have been enjoying. Look at here, I've got a few things I do, to put it mildly. One of the ones I've been playing around with is fireflies.ai. It's more for operations, but whenever I have meetings with new prospects, I can actually connect Fireflies as a person to any kind of conference call, and it takes notes for me, or essentially transcribes it automatically. That's an okay job. I would say Otter does a little bit better in terms of artificial intelligence transcription. But what I love about it is that becomes something that I can then append to client notes and attach it to new projects, and the staff can look over the phone call and the notes, and I can highlight components of it. It's very clean and easy to use. So that's one I've been enjoying playing with.
The different SEO tools that your team uses and what are some of the features that you most love, or are maybe underutilized, or not really fully understood by the typical business person or user?
Well, we're big fans of SEMrush. We use that pretty high plan on there. And one of the ones that I like looking into is it's a recent addition to their system, but their keyword intent matrix, essentially. You're looking at not just keywords or search terms, but you're looking at what the likely intent of that search is. Is it commercial? Is it research? This is really important stuff. I mean, and a lot of clientele come to us with just a set of keywords. They don't really understand what's where it's at. Well, yeah, these are some good keywords, but are the people who are searching them really ready to buy? Let's look at some of the ones that have high buyer's intent and work on some of those. And then, for a different target to first, perhaps a different conversion point on your website, we can look at ones who are researching, and these ones can go to a white paper, or they can be steered in a different direction if they're not ready to buy, but at least we get them into that funnel, and that's kind of fun. I love looking into that and thinking very holistically about what needs to be done for that kind of marketing, not just this keyword, and guessing what they're supposed to be for. I really appreciate that SEMrush added that. We were doing some of this before, but we were it's a little nicer when you've got a tool that does that for you. Their competitive tools are fun to look at. Lots of data in there that we are still not maximizing. I mean, it's amazing how much data is there now. In fact, it becomes more difficult to work with in some ways because you have too much data. So once in a while, I like to just dig in and try new aspects of the tools we have and go, wow, I didn't even know this existed. How can I make this a part of our services and do a better job? I could probably spend a week just digging through all the tools and not even scratch the surface of all the things we could add.
Speaking of the keywords and the different competitor analyses inside of SEMrush, I really like the keyword gap tool. where you can compare
Mm-hmm.
where your competitors have rankings, like page 1 rankings or first 10 pages even, and where you don't have any rankings at all. And there's also kind of a
Absolutely.
similar sort of tool with the uh, backlink gap analysis, where you look at your competitors that have great links and where are multiple competitors getting linked to that you're not getting links. So that's
Yeah,
kind of a hub
that
finder
has been really
capability
revealing.
as well. Yeah.
It's
Yeah.
I found lately that oftentimes when I try to use that, I find it's too early in the client's journey, and it's it's a bit overwhelming. We're like, okay, there's some gaps. Let's just start off with some basics first, and then we'll look at that when you're at a certain point where you can really measure up to these guys. But with the bigger clients who are established, those tools are absolutely amazing. Really, really, really handy.
Yeah. With a smaller client that maybe is earlier on in their journey, some of the basic blocking and tackling that would get them links or mentions might include basic stuff like uh, making sure that they're a member of the local chamber and then they're listed on the members page. To Convention and Visitors Bureau, the same thing. Getting some sort of media partnerships, perhaps if they're a publisher of content that is a known source, a go-to source for great information. Maybe they could partner with uh, another entity that also likes to write on the coattails of that information and value delivery. Those are the different things that are pretty basic, that as far as what we consider to be basic are missed opportunities. They just don't know what they don't know. What would be some
Hmm.
examples of these really simple, low hanging fruit opportunities that you see time and time again not being implemented when you're talking to prospects?
So this could be anything SEO.
Anything SEO. Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. Well, I would say a lot of times it's even understanding that this is a little bit different, but when someone comes to the website, they're all focused about getting the visitors, but then their websites don't have any conversion points, or they expect the best right away. Like, buy now. It's like, whoa, whoa, whoa. Let's have a little bit of a softer approach. Have that option, sure, but have some softer approaches. Not everyone wants to convert right away, or sometimes there's just nothing to the website in terms of background on the different products they have, or um, they really just haven't built out the full expanse of the website. And you compare it to their competitors who are doing really well, and it's just night and day, and they don't get it. But that's really low hanging stuff. I mean, just add more context to your content, to your products, to your services. Provide proof, social proof. Provide examples of, some case studies, testimonials. All that stuff that really gets them to that next step to make a phone call. One of the things that in this newer website we're going to be doing has a focus on simply not adding more information to what we're going to be offering the prospect, but adding more proof that it's worth talking to us about that, so that we get that meeting, that call. Then I can be me in front of them and build that relationship. If they start reading, this was a great point from a friend of mine. She said, you don't want them to start thinking they need to do more research before they can talk to you. And the more information you give, it can get a little more baffle-gabby, right? It can give some more a lack of depth there. Other ones would be, I would think, some of the simple aspects of schema that aren't built into e-commerce sites. Many of them are getting some of that built in when they're getting upgrades to their systems, because e-commerce typically starts to, like, the actual platforms they're using are building in some of the schema. But when you were talking about the average website that isn't updated a lot, the schema is either too default and they haven't customized it enough, or they could add so much more and add more value and really try to play with what tools Google's giving you.
Yep, that's good. That's good. So let's dig into a couple of these examples that you gave. Let's start with the social proof. What would be some examples of social proof that you would recommend to a prospect that they may not have implemented on their homepage?
Sure. Well, and actually, you helped me out a great deal with this when we were doing our coaching together. Really, it's doing a good job of showing what you do and what you've done well, or what you've done well in the past, and that could be from accolades from clients, testimonials from targets that are exemplify the kind of client you want. Statistics such as 3 million downloads from SEO 101. We don't have to be super accurate. Who knows? Maybe it was 4 million. Maybe it was 2.8 million. I don't know, right? Where we can reference it, but it's enough to just go with something like that, put it up there, and it adds context and it shows people that you're not just a fly by night company. You've been around a while, and you deserve to be listened to. Others are, client labels, logos, I should say, people you've worked with in the past, video testimonials. It's just, there's so much distrust, understandably, out there that you need to really prove to them that you're worth paying attention to and going that next step to the next page. Frankly, these days we're overwhelmed with how much noise is out there, and it's good to reassure them that at least it's worth that next step.
Yeah, it's a lot of work for somebody to do their due diligence, and if somebody comes in pre-selected because they have been selected by big brands, or they have been in business for 24 years, or they have a podcast that's been running for 12 years or has 3 million downloads, yeah, that's all very compelling and makes the work of the potential customer a lot easier. There's less cognitive load. And I really like how you've overhauled your impact metrics on your homepage, focusing more on the things that are much more compelling rather than, years in business, because you have been in this game for so long, is a compelling data point. But number of customers, I don't know that I would really care if you have 20 or 50 or 500. That doesn't convey that you have the chops to do a really great job for me. Whereas if you've won some awards, I want to see what those awards are. Like, oh, you've won a Davy Award or something like that. I remember we won a couple of Davy Awards for some client work that we did many, many, many years ago, and I don't think we even bothered to put it on our homepage or on our website at all. I think we didn't. We neglected that. But the client logos, if those are recognized brands, especially, that's really compelling. And going from non-recognized brands to recognized brands, going through the hoops of getting permission from those bigger clients, and just making more out of less. Because if you have 10 logos on your logo bar, that's like an overwhelm sort of thing. Whereas if you have 5, but they're all name brands, like, wow, you guys done some really great work apparently, because these are household names. So yeah, that all that goes into an important thought process around how do I convey that I'm pre-selected, that I'm legit, super legit. What speaking of Singularity University earlier, Peter Diamandis, the co-founder of that, I remember him explaining this concept of super credibility, and how what he did on stage to announce the X Prize was so super credible, nobody asked if the $10 million prize that he was offering was in the bank, because it wasn't. He didn't have hardly any of it. And it took him multiple years to find that money, to get a billionaire who was willing to put up that $10 million prize. Now, luckily for him, nobody won the X Prize for many years after that. But if somebody had won before he had established where that money was coming from, he would have been in real trouble. So he was on stage announcing the X Prize, where it's like you have to build a spacecraft that can transport space passengers to the upper atmosphere beyond the I forget what
mesosphere or something.
Yeah, something. Where there's absolutely no oxygen and it's black out there. So wherever it was that you had to take it up to that spot and then successfully back down and then fly again back up there within, I think, a 2-week time period. So that was a big deal, something that was pie in the sky back then. And it motivated a lot of people, and a team finally won it. And then they immediately signed with Sir Richard Branson, and it became Virgin Galactic. As soon as they landed, I think it was Richard was there with a really compelling contract and a lot of money. So
I bet.
Yeah, it's awesome to have that kind of super credibility where you're on stage with, in his case, astronauts, not just a couple of them, but maybe there were 10 astronauts who have been to space, and a former deputy director of NASA, all on stage announcing the X Prize with him. Nobody said, "Hey, where's the money? Show us the money."
Yeah.
Yeah.
They just have the nerve. Yeah, he's just so. He is a compelling guy. I've met him a couple of times, and he's just a great aura around him, and very impressive dude. One of the ones they were. One of the X Prizes was for a tricorder too, wasn't it?
Yeah, so a medical tricorder X Prize. So they have a whole series of X Prizes after the first one, and there's an ocean cleanup one. There's a lot of them, and the medical tricorder one is
very cool.
That was kind of partially awarded because they didn't officially meet all the criteria of for the prize, but they came close enough that they got a chunk of money. Yeah,
I'll have to read up on that. I was fascinated and was keeping up for a while, but there was no news, so that's good to hear. That's great. Yeah, I found back our own cheerleaders. We were talking about getting that stuff, that social proof, and I have learned so well that I am the worst cheerleader for me. I needed yourself. I needed Chris Ward, my other coach, and she's been helping me with some of my messaging and stuff to really just lay it out for me, black and white. You suck at marketing yourself. You've got to get some help here.
I never said that. And I would never say that.
You didn't say that. She did. Well, she didn't. She made me laugh my ass off. I was like, okay, you're right. I do. I really do. We're pretty good friends, so she could get away with that. But I do. I just, it's very hard to be your own cheerleader, especially if you've been doing something for so long.
Let's do a quick coaching right now. If you believe that you suck at marketing yourself, then that you've taken on as part of your identity. And then everything that you do needs to be consistent with that. Otherwise, it creates cognitive dissonance inside of your brain, and your brain doesn't like that. So it wants consistency. So you're going to self-fulfill that prophecy, essentially. Whereas if
fortunately,
you disassociate it with your identity.
Better.
Okay, you are better. And you're getting better and better every day. Right? So there are things like affirmations that will help you to break out of well-worn patterns, the grooves that become ruts, that become graves. That's the synapses that fire together, wire together. And if you're consistently doing something and you believe that that's who you are or part of who you are, then that's a self-reinforcing viewpoint, and you dig this deeper and deeper grave for yourself. So my invitation to you is to instead identify as somebody who is doing good in the world and wants to amplify your reach and impact by getting more and more information and value out there into the world. And what kind of marketer would you be, or value generator or leader would you be if you were a secret that nobody knew of? If you had a podcast that nobody listened to, if you had a business that no clients signed up for, right? You'd be doing a disservice to humanity. You'd be doing a disservice to this lifetime that you've been gifted. So I think it's much more true that you are a very authentic and real and approachable promoter of yourself and of your of the value that you deliver. So if that's your identity, then it's going to be a lot easier for you to get out there and toot your own horn. Okay,
well,
coaching call
that's
ended.
pretty accurate. That felt pretty. Actually, it was great. Thank you. That feels more in line with where I am at actually right now. I was partly joking there. That's just how things went when she was looking at my marketing. Just like, okay.
Well, that's maybe
really
where you were earlier in the year or
exactly
last year, right? But
and it's been very good.
Yeah, you're evolving, and as are all of us. So, an example of something that you might have been uncomfortable with, tooting your own horn a year ago, what are you comfortable doing now? And give us an example or two.
Well, even talking about myself, I would look plain awkward. So even just saying that, yeah, I know my stuff. This is what I've been doing for a long time. This is, I've the imposter syndrome was strong. It didn't matter how much work I'd done. I still felt, and it came across, I think, as less, I don't know. I just didn't feel like I was being myself, genuine, authentic by talking about myself. And now I realize that there is nothing wrong with getting my message across and showing people that I know what I'm doing. It's not hubris. It's truly me. And like you said, getting that message across that I am there to help, that there is a reason you should be listening, and
or
confidence
came
out of that. Yeah,
exactly.
It might
be
a lot
easy
of confidence came for that.
To put yourself out there as a information resource for free, but for some people, it becomes really uncomfortable when you're asking for the order. You're asking for money. Like, I don't know. I can give away my time. I don't have any problem doing that. But when it comes to me putting myself out there in a way that asks for the order, oh no, that gets all squirmy and uncomfortable. Do you find that to be the case, or have it been? Distinct.
Yeah. And I definitely was guilty of that for many years. Just Johnny said, well, maybe I can help you out a bit and get you on your feet, and then we'll start working together. I was a soft touch, and I always will be at heart. But what it comes down to now is, my time is valuable, but I can offer you a lot of value, and that's where things have come. And it's been very, I don't know. I felt a great change by focusing on what I know I can do, ensuring the results are there, and providing it at a value that I feel I'm worth, and I know they're going to feel is more than worth what they paid. And it's awesome. It was a great. Yeah, even saying it feels good. It was quite a change for me, again, because, I never did badly. We certainly, the business has been around long enough, through the ups and downs and stuff, but I definitely undersold myself and the business, and we don't do that now. And it's made things a lot better, more secure. And it comes across in the type of clients we get as well.
Yeah. Your
You're not
confidence
getting the ones who are going to take
inspires
advantage of.
confidence in others. And so when you're
Exactly.
super confident with the results that you could deliver and your track record and the level of expertise and experience you have, yeah, that's contagious. It's infectious. And then you can get away with, in air quotes, something like a presumptive close without it feeling smarmy or insincere or manipulative. The presumptive close, famous for the used car salesman handing the pen over to the prospect for their signature, assuming that they're going to sign it before getting a yes, let's go ahead, right? Or when would you like this delivered? Feels really smarmy and yeesh, yeah, yucky. But if you have the confidence and you have the technical acumen and just the chops to always do a good job, do well by your clients, then it doesn't feel yucky at all. It's like, when would you like to have your
you're doing them a
kickoff call?
favor.
Right? So that's a presumptive close. That's super subtle and easy, and doesn't feel yucky at all. Could be yucky if you're not actually a legitimate SEO, if you're selling snake oil. But in your case, I think you could do a lot more of that sort of presumptive closing. Sorry, I'm coaching you again. Anyway, so this is a great
That's good.
area to get into if you're willing to talk about this area of the imposter syndrome. I can give some of my experience and battles with imposter syndrome and as well, but I'd love to hear from you first a bit more about how you first discovered that you had imposter syndrome and how you overcame it eventually, and what some of the lessons were along the way.
Sure. So I'm, and I imagine this is extremely common in any very technical marketplace where things are changing all the time. I always feel obsessed about, I don't feel like I can be confident unless I'm on top of everything all the time, which is exhausting. There's going to be so much change in marketing day to day that is to keep you on the razor's edge. But I don't need to be on the razor's edge to do the services I do. I mean, it's nice to know, absolutely. But because I wasn't on the razor's edge, I felt like I was an imposter. I wasn't as good as the people who I looked up to. And when I would have a call with them, hell, if I had a call with you, sometimes I was nervous because I was like, oh no, I know how cutting edge he is. So what am I going to be? I can I really talk? But I really know now that at this point, I better know. 24 years doing this, I know that I'm well more than the average person, certainly, and a very competent SEO, right? Yeah. I've been doing this for enough time that I consider myself, I can call myself an expert without feeling fake by any stretch of the imagination. However, for the longest time, that just seemed distasteful to me because I wasn't writing every day. I wasn't in search engine land all the time. I was busy running a business and doing a successful job of it, but I had these expectations for myself. And those expectations are brutal, and we're all our own enemy. Oh, it seems always, and I still suffer with it sometimes. But I have to stop and go, wait a second. This isn't true. I am perfectly good at excellent at what I do. And this is something that I need to just let go.
Yeah. A close cousin to imposter syndrome is something called comparative success syndrome. I had no idea that I had it, but I did. I compared myself to who I could have been if I had continued on with my PhD instead of dropping out and become a professor and a researcher studying viruses and cancer and that sort of stuff. And like I blew it, or I somehow denied my gifts as a scientist. But in reality, it all unfolded the way it was meant to. I just didn't realize it at the time. and not even for some number of years afterwards. So this comparative success syndrome is where you're saying, you know what, I could be spending way more time researching, getting on the cutting edge of things, writing articles for sites like Search Engine Land, heck, just reading all the articles as they're coming out. But realistically, you can't do that and run a business. And so if you're comparing what you could be and it's unrealistic expectations of what you could be, you're setting yourself up for comparative success syndrome and for feeling insignificant or ineffective or like you don't measure up. And it's never a good thing. The imposter syndrome, my understanding of that from kind of digging into it and realizing that I had it, was that you feel afraid that people are going to discover that you are a fraud, that you're just kind of smoke and mirrors. I mean, most vast majority of cases, it is an irrational fear, and it is not true. You have the chops, you have the skills and the abilities. You're worthy, but that inner opponent is telling us something different. That critical inner voice is saying, no, you're a fraud, you're a loser, you're not as good as these other people. Just wait till they ask that stumper question from the audience and everybody else can answer it on stage in the panel and you can't. You look like an idiot. Just wait for that to happen. That's coming. Right? That's just insidious, and it's poisonous.
Absolutely.
Have you ever had situations like that where you were like almost paralyzed from the imposter syndrome? I know I have.
Definitely. Absolutely. And I've been, I don't think, to my credit, I don't think I ever turned one down, but whenever I had a chance to be on a panel, that was my first thought. I'm like, oh my God, I'm going to have to read for the next 4 days. I need to be on top of it. Oh my God.
It's like cramming for the SATs.
Totally. I need to know. I need to feel like, oh yeah, absolutely. I know what you mean. And this, oh God. Yeah. It's a bit much. But it is difficult when you aren't reading every day sometimes, and especially when you're trying to you talk to someone, let's say, and I have had the odd sales call where like, well, have you heard about this? No, I haven't. But then I just say, you know what? I can't be on top of it all the time. We have a great staff and we're on top of what matters. But what is just coming out, frankly, when it comes to search engines, is typically not going to be impacting your business tomorrow. It's going to be impacting your business months from now. And we have time to really digest that and prepare. Even if it actually happens, you know how much time Google's testing. So, but when it comes to those presentations or doing any kind of connecting with my industry, I definitely get those nerves. If I'm around peers, I almost don't want to talk. I still have that issue. I just don't know. Like there's just so much I feel I don't know. And that's good, I think, because it keeps you learning. And like what they say, if you're smartest person in the room, you shouldn't be in that room. So I do often just like to listen and absorb the brilliance in a room. And
but don't be afraid to take up space in that room.
Exactly. And that's right? That, you know, I've social anxiety.
And so, you are there to add value, not just listen.
Yeah. So
I've got a quick embarrassing admission to share about imposter syndrome before we move on. I wrote an article for the HuffPost, about imposter syndrome. I don't know, maybe 5 years ago. And I was approached by Psychology Today magazine saying that we're working on an article on imposter syndrome. We loved your article and we would love to interview you and include you in the article. Because I admitted that I had imposter syndrome in the article. And I said, okay, sure. But then they contacted me a little bit later say, actually, we want to change this. We want you to be our cover image for the magazine for this issue. And I was seriously considering it. And then I told my wife, Ryan, about it. And she's like, are you insane? You want to be the literal cover child or whatever? Like,
Poster boy?
What's the expression? Poster boy. There we go. For imposter syndrome. Are you nuts? And so I reneged. I pulled out and I said, you know what? Never mind. I don't want to do it. And that was a test. I realize now, you know, we're given tests by the creator, and that was a test I failed because I could have made a difference for people, and I chose not to protect my ego instead. So I just want to share that when you have an opportunity to put yourself out there and it feels really scary, or you feel out of your depth or out of your element, just do it anyways. If you know that you're going to be revealing light in the process, that you're going to make a difference for people, get comfortable with being uncomfortable.
Right? You don't have to appeal to everyone, right?
Oh, here I go into coaching mode. Sorry.
Yeah, you don't have to appeal to everyone, just appeal to the people that matter to you. Yeah, and there's always going to be business out there.
Yeah, because you're not here for everybody.
No.
I remember Robert Allen explaining to me, he's the author of a whole bunch of really successful books, like Multiple Streams of Income and 1 Minute Millionaire. He explained, you're not here for everybody. You're here only for the smiley faces in the audience and not the frowny faces. And conversely, the smiley faces are there for you and not the frowny faces. So just talk to the smiley faces and don't worry about winning over any of the frowny faces. Mm-hmm. You're not there for them. That's been really helpful.
Surely. And biggest for me for speaking was they all want you to succeed. They're there to listen to you and enjoy it and learn, and they want you to do a great job. They're not there to watch you fail.
Yes.
That was a huge change for me.
And I'll tell you, every listener who's still listening right now is rooting for you and me. They wouldn't be listening anymore if they weren't. So everyone who's listening right now is a potential prospect for you. If they have a website and they need higher rankings in Google and they don't already know how to do a ninja job at SEO, they're a prospect for you, and you've built up rapport with them over this past hour.
Well, I'd be glad to meet them.
All right. Well, let's close this out then and send them to the place to contact you and get a strategy call or initial consult going.
Sure. Yeah. It's stepforth.com. That's stepforth.com. And there's a free strategy call link at the top. And I honestly just enjoy meeting people and talking through what we can do for you.
Awesome. Well, thank you, Ross. And I appreciate your candor, your vulnerability, your openness, and your authenticity. You're a man of integrity, and you're a light in the world.
Well, thank you, man. Really appreciate being on the show, and it's always good to see you. Thanks for listening, everyone, too.
Good to see you. Yeah. So thank you, listener, and do something great for somebody you care about this week, and we'll catch you on the next episode. I'm your host, Stephan Spencer, signing off.